All right, welcome guys to another Cardinal AMA. We got Solar Protocol on doing something a little bit different than some of the other some of the other protocols that are being developed. Someone that I was very excited to talk to, and unfortunately we had to reschedule till today, but we'll finally be hearing from them and seeing everything they got coming up in the works. We do things a little bit differently here. So I'm actually going to go through a a couple of rapid fire questions, just kind of getting to know you a little bit better, kind of as that like little icebreaker, because I feel like AMAs sometimes start off just really slow. It's the same repetitive thing every single time. So when you're ready, and then if you are in the audience, go ahead to the AMA polls channel and react to one of those or one side of each message. We'll kind of see if he aligns with what most people are thinking or not. Are you ready for it?
Yeah, sure. Let's
Awesome,
go.
awesome. So are you an iPhone or Galaxy user?
I'm an Android user.
Oh, okay. Android, perfect. Hot or cold showers?
Depends on the season.
Depends on. Are you a cold shower person in summer?
Yes, it's way too hot down here.
Can you remind me where you're at?
I'm from Spain.
Gotcha. That's awesome. Are you more of a books or podcast person?
Depends on what I'm doing. I do like to read, but I do also like to listen to podcasts, especially when I'm like coding and stuff. I like having something on in the background. But I use books to take a break from screens.
Gotcha. Yeah,
Because
that definitely
I
makes
do
sense.
spend a lot of time of my day in front of one, so it's a nice break.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. What's your favorite podcast at the moment?
I don't follow any like tech related. I
Uh-huh.
mostly just look for entertainment because I'm not trying to focus on it. More so just having it on the background.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let me see what's the last one I listened to. I think it was The Yard or
Gotcha.
Trash Taste.
Got it. So completely unrelated topics. Fair enough.
Yeah,
Awesome. Do you prefer Marvel or DC?
Marvel.
Okay, I think almost everyone would agree there. Yeah, we got a couple people voting for DC. Would you
I'm not a
rather
huge
be?
fan, but I just find the films more entertaining. I'd say.
Oh, definitely. I think the only thing DC has going for it are the TV shows. Some of the TV shows that I've seen are pretty good. Um, would you rather be the funniest person in every single room you enter, or be the most intelligent person in every room?
That's a difficult one because in one of them I sound like a dick, and in the other one like a clown. I'll go for funniest.
Funniest? Fair enough.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not even necessarily a clown, right? It just means you're gonna make a lot of friends, make those connections.
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, would you rather never be able to eat out again or never be able to cook again?
Never be able to eat out again, for sure.
Really? What's your favorite? Do you cook a lot?
Oh yeah, I do. I'm vegan, so like the amount of
Mm,
food I can take out is limited, and I live in the middle of nowhere, so there is no deliveries. So I'd be pretty screwed if I couldn't cook.
yeah, you'd have to live in a bigger place, that's for sure. Um,
Yeah.
would you rather work a job you hate and retire in 10 years, or work 40 years doing your dream job?
Work 40 years doing my dream job for sure.
Gotcha. Yeah, I
Like,
think 10
what do
years
I
is a
do
long
for 30
time.
years for working?
Well, I mean, assuming you could do your dream job, there just wouldn't be any reason or any like concern about income. Um
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna do it anyway, so might as well do it for 40 years.
fair enough. Uh would you rather be able to fly but never faster than 5 miles an hour, or I guess what would that be, like 8 kilometers an hour? Maybe my math is way off.
I don't know.
Uh but or be able to run up to 30 miles an hour for an extended period of time. That's like just short of
I'd, pre-
Usain Bolt.
I'd prefer flying, just chilling in
Flying
the air.
just 5
Even
miles
if
an
it's
hour, like
slow, it's just I'm just chilling.
gotcha. It's like a brisk walking pace, essentially.
Yeah,
That's funny. I think I'd do the same because it's something you really couldn't do, right? I think
yeah.
that would be
I can
pretty cool.
always train to run really fast, But
Mhm.
flying is not something anyone can do.
Would you rather be a successful crypto investor or a successful crypto project lead, assuming you would fail miserably at the other?
Oh, I'd much rather be a project lead because then I don't have to invest.
Gotcha. You would just create.
Yeah, that's why we have a financial person at Solar, so I don't have to do the investments.
Gotcha. No, that makes sense. And then last one, what does crypto allow you to do that TradFi does not? Kind of like in kind of line with what Solar Protocol is doing.
For sure. So before I was doing Solar and like Web3 development, I was a developer at like a Web2 company, or
Uh-huh.
two different ones I was. And it was just so draining. And I, as a person, I don't do well in like set schedules. Like
Mhm.
I do work in like sprints almost, and I might do sprint for like 2 3 hours in the morning after I wake up, and then I might do another one before I go to bed. I get things done, but I like to do it at my own time whenever I want to. And then the flexibility that crypto allows me is just amazing. I do work every single weekend. I don't mind. I enjoy it. But the freedom is what I enjoy the most. Like if I want to go out with my friends for lunch, I don't have to worry about not being at work. If anyone needs me, I can just send a message on Discord, hey, I can't make it to this meeting, or like
Mhm.
I'll just answer later. As the freedom is the best part about it.
Yeah, definitely. I think in general running your own business is a little bit more, there's more freedom, but obviously there's a lot more work to get done too cuz you don't realize how much work there is at the top until you start doing it. But it's definitely a little more leeway, especially if you're not kind of people aren't depending on you being there at a certain time. So yeah, I
Yeah, for
definitely
sure.
understand that.
Not
Um
only when since Solar, since it's like my own thing, but when I was working
mhm,
at other projects, it was always more um free. Like as long as I get the work done, they didn't mind as much about the schedule
mhm.
or anything. Sure, we'd have like a weekly meeting, but that's fine.
Yeah. I think definitely very different. You're working with people across the world, right? So it's a little unreasonable to expect them to be on at the same time as you if they're, 7 hours ahead or 7 hours behind. So
Yeah.
yeah, definitely it makes a lot of sense. And so that's a very good kind of analysis of what this space brings. Or just working remote in general.
Yeah, I did do remote work before, and even
Wasn't
then,
the
it's
same.
just
Really.
get up at 8:40, get on the laptop, stay there until 4 p.m. It's just
I love how
boring.
you say get up at 8:40. Did you
Oh,
start at
yeah,
9?
it depends on which country I was at the time, because I do travel a lot between the UK and Spain. So
Gotcha.
my job was here at Spain, and then we'd have our daily meeting at like 9 something. So I'd always get up like 20, 30 minutes before, so I can like catch up on emails and not sound like I just woke up for the meeting.
Gotcha. That's great. Um, all right. So kind of branching from that is good to hear a little bit more about you and who you are personally. But why don't we get a little introduction of? I know you mentioned that you work for some Web 2 companies. What'd you do there? And let's get a little intro on who you are.
Sure. So I am a full stack developer. I mainly focused on backend stuff when I was doing Web 2, but I always wanted to try web development. And back in a year ago now, almost a year ago, I decided to give it a try and help a friend out with one of his like NFT projects. I was like, hey, I'll try and make you a website so I can learn. And, you know, here we are.
Hmm.
I ended up doing like both things at once during a period of time, and that was extremely draining and really hard to balance. So
Hmm.
at some point, whenever I had saved up enough money and I was confident in my skills for like Web3 development,
Hmm.
I decided to take the leap, and I worked at a couple NFT projects, a couple DeFi projects, and then after seeing how poorly run the space was in some ways, I decided to give it a try myself and try and improve where I had seen others were failing at.
Hmm. Yeah, that's
And here we
definitely
are now.
yeah, it's definitely important to mention the fact that the balance wasn't able to be made. It I think people
No, I
underestimate how much
cannot do
time it
16
takes.
hours a day.
Yeah, it's definitely there's certain people in the world that can, and they're very few between. It's very difficult to find those, couple people in 1,000 that will legitimately work 16 hours a day and then just sleep and work and that's it.
Well, I
Um,
can do it, and I have done it since we
mhm.
started solar a couple times, but definitely not every day.
Yeah, yeah, no, and I think that's what I'm getting at, right? But then you have these couple of very ultra successful people that do something similar to that, and it's like 16 hours a day work, maybe 2 hours to eat, and then the rest of it sleeping. Like it's
Yeah, no. One
much
of our
much tighter of a
developers is
schedule.
kind of like that. Mine's just
Really.
built different. I don't get it. It's like I'll message him at 3 a.m. It's like, yo, what you up to? It's like, no, I'm just making this new repo. It's like, okay. I message him at 11 a.m. So what you doing? I was, oh, I was just working on this contract. It's like, okay.
Yeah, it's
We're
tough to
so
find
lucky
people
to
like that.
have him.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's awesome. And so, why don't we dig a little deeper into the team then? Now, kind of branching, segueing. You said
For
his name
sure.
was Matt.
No, no, no. So maybe I mispronounced anything. It's just
Oh,
our smart contract developer, Fluffy.
gotcha.
He's amazing. He's been hard carrying the development side
Hmm.
of the smart contract development side of things at Solar, and we wouldn't be where we are without him. So I'm really grateful that he's part of the team.
Awesome. Yeah. So, how many team members do you guys have?
We currently we just went some restructuring of the team.
Hmm.
Our marketing wasn't doing well, so we've got a new person for that. And then the business development side of things brought no results at all after 2 months. And then we found out that there was some insider trading, like in sharing insider information. So we
Hmm.
promptly terminated any relationship with them.
Gotcha. Yeah. So it sounds like you guys have had the last couple weeks have been like I know the other day
Yeah,
when we hopped in, you'd been like panicking trying to
yeah.
figure out
It
what
was a
server
day,
this was in.
the day before that. Yeah.
Got it. Yeah, that's really tough. It's a very tough
Yeah,
spot to be in.
yeah, shit happens. What's important is that we deal with it and then we learn from it. Like if
Hmm.
I have people in my team, I want to be able to trust in them and to talk freely when we are like as in a team meeting. Not worry about, oh, if I say this, they will share it to their community, their friends, and they will take advantage. I want all investors to play at the same level with the same
Hmm.
amount of information. I want an even playing field.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, it's something that if you're part of a team, you have to know what's meant to be shared, what is not. What is private
And that
information
was
for
very
the team.
clearly not meant to
Hmm.
be shared.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah.
That's very very tough. But hopefully, you guys are finding better luck now with a couple new team members that you pulled on. Or I guess it's just the marketing. Uh,
Yeah, just the marketing. To be fair, the most of the business development we've had has been on me and some
mhm.
connections we've made along the way.
Yeah.
So I'll
No,
be handling that from now on, and then the marketing. Well, the future will tell if the new person is up for the task, which, but I'm pretty
that.
sure they will be.
Gotcha. That's awesome. That's awesome. So are you taking what role are you playing on the team over at Solar?
Well, how do I put it? I coordinate all the developers. So I guess in that
Mhm.
sense, I'm a project manager. I handle all like business relationships and relationships in general. So I guess I do business development as well. I also handle all website development. Oh, most of it now. We have another person helping because I couldn't do everything. I do coordinate that side of things as well,
Mhm.
and I'm sort of a mentor in that regard. And I still do code and just making sure everyone's on the same page and organizing everything.
Yeah. So you're kind of taking like the management role in general over the entire project.
And the web development as well.
Yes.
But yeah,
Yes.
management and a little bit of development.
Gotcha. Gotcha. That's a lot to kind of take onto your or hold on your own plate.
Yeah, for sure. But I enjoy it. And at
Mhm.
the end of the day, it was my idea to start this, and I am committed to see it succeed.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's really really great to hear. It's really cool to have and I think we've been very fortunate, but having a dev on the team I think is slowly going to become more common with bigger projects, but in the DeFi space, it's not completely common to have, developer on the core, founder team. Generally it's, outsourced or someone gets pulled in or hired from outside.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's
I'm going
very
to give
cool.
a hot take here.
Hmm.
Although one of our main things is offering development services,
Hmm.
I think most projects that don't have a developer in the core team or the founder team
Mm-hmm.
are not going anywhere. Because let's say you're hiring developers to work on your project and things
Mm-hmm.
go south and you suddenly are out of money and the only way you can move forward is with further developments. How are
Mm-hmm.
you going to achieve this if you didn't have any income from the project, or like the income's
Yeah.
very little? That's where I think having a developer within the team shines the most.
Trust me, it is huge. Yeah, currently one of our founders is a dev, and he works part-time with us, granted, but at the same time, the pace that he's able to finish things is comparable to a lot of other developers, even though he's only working, 15, 20 hours a week. So it definitely is. It's been a blessing to kind of have him be able to work on stuff, and us not have to be like, shoot, we got to come up with these funds. We've kept our costs to a minimum because of it. So I
For sure.
100% agree that that is a huge variable that people should look into. Um,
Yep.
and kind of branching from that. So why don't we dig a little bit deeper into Solar Protocol? What is it you guys are doing over there? I know you have a very interesting model, more similar to a business than necessarily just a project, or the conventional DeFi project that you see all
Yeah,
the time right now. So why don't we dig a little deeper into it?
sure. So uh, I'll go and give some context of the situation I was in and my other founder was in. So I had basically just lost my job at Atlas because the founders decided it was a good idea to embezzle company funds and spend them on whatever they want and slowly steal from the project. So that went to shit. And then, I was struggling to find gigs as an individual. But then I kept seeing how, like, people that were more established, that sort of had a brand, were having an easier time. So, and I also wanted to do my own project. So I tried making the two come together in a way. So we had the like passive income side of things to build a brand and provide investors with some money. And that allowed us to, now it's not me looking for work and it's not me who you hire, but the entire solar team. And the fact that we have a team and not just an individual, we have a brand, we have reputation, is much easier to obtain as a brand than it is as an individual. So ever since before we even launched, we've had work to do. Like, we haven't had a single idle week. Maybe we've had a couple days, but never even got close to a week. We've always been busy, always have different projects to work on, whether it's our own, whether it's someone else's, whether it's for the project itself. So
Mhm.
that side of things was extremely successful and it's been going well. We're still developing stuff for other people. We have now started developing our own products, which I'm extremely excited to
Mhm.
talk about as soon as we reach the point where we can. And yeah, our like passive income side of things has taken a hit due to this fact that we're building this product and we don't have as much income because we don't get like a flat amount for it.
Uh-huh.
So we've had to sort of delay. Well, we just raised claim tax to 90%. Basically, uh, claiming is halted unless you really want to get out. And the plan is to resume it within anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks as we launch other products and revenue starts to ramp up. And we've come up with different ideas, and I think we're pretty set on a formula we found where the claim tax will be what's the right word? Sorry, English is not my first language.
No, you're totally
The
good.
the the claim tax will be. I think it's best if I share it from that. Basically, the way we keep our price stable is through adding money to it, to the price stabilizer. It's our own like liquidity management system.
Mhm.
The idea is having a claim tax big enough that doesn't allow the stable price bot to be drained, but allows
Mhm.
every single person to claim and sell. So right now that would be around uh, $40,000 that would be necessary for that if we want
Mhm.
to lower it to zero. And that's basically the idea. We're generating the revenue, but before this we were generating revenue and stuff and pouring it into the price stabilizer, and we weren't able to put as much as we would have liked to into our treasury.
Yeah.
But ever since this, we've been able to put a little bit of money aside for it, and grow slowly. And I think for the short term, obviously it sucks for all investors, and for us,
Mm-hmm.
the community sentiment's obviously taken a hit. Not as big as we expected. We are very lucky to have our community,
Mm-hmm.
but it's definitely taken a hit, and understandably. But I like thinking long term, and I am 100% certain this is the best decision for the long term success of the project itself. We'll transition to revenue share at some point, as was initially planned, but I don't think right now is the correct time for it. I think with what we have been building, we'll be just fine in a month, 2 months time, as soon as we are able to release these products.
Yeah. So I guess the one question, like, let's take a step back really quick. So, uh, correct me if I'm wrong. The main thing that you guys are offering is this kind of development as a service product. Is that correct? As of now,
Oh, well, it depends. You mean to investors or to other people?
two other projects,
To other projects, yes, it's our development services.
and that would benefit the investors because some of that revenue is being put into this LMS. Is that what I heard?
Correct. Yeah, that's what we've been doing for the past 2 months. And if the pre-sale investors wanted to do so, they've reached their ROI
Mm-hmm.
just a couple weeks ago, I think. They were able to get their initial back if
Mm-hmm.
they wanted to do so. Of course, I know a good part of them have been just compounding and not worrying about anything because they know, we're building good relationships, we're building good products, and they
Mm-hmm.
believe that in the long term it will be best to have a piece of the revenue share, a bigger piece, than it would be to, you know, farm as many rewards in the time being.
Mm-hmm. So, with this revenue sharing model, or I guess more with the rebasing, because it is a rebasing model, correct? For the
No.
compounding, it is not. Okay. So,
Basically, it's most similar to a node project.
okay, gotcha. So you'd have to buy a node
Yeah.
and then have it.
We
Okay.
basically have 4 different tiers of nodes. We call
Mm-hmm.
them stars, and they each have their own yield, how much they produce. It's different based on the invested amount. The more you invest, the more you generate.
Mm-hmm.
But we wanted to ensure that every investor is able to get into the project if they wish to do so. That's why our cheapest one is 100 perks, and the most expensive is 3,000.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So you have these different nodes. They're compounding, bringing in some. You're compounding your token. Um, what is the percentage that these are compounding at?
I mean,
What
in
would be
order
the
to
ROI?
create one of
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the ROI, the APY it ranges from 170% on the lowest tier and 240% on the highest tier
Gotcha. Over how long?
over a year. That's
Okay.
the APY.
Gotcha. Perfect. Perfect. Okay, very, very interesting. And then the main way that you are really bringing that benefit is with the LMS, allowing them to compound tokens, which the fluctuation of your actual token is probably going to be very limited. What's the range for the LMS, if you don't mind me asking?
Sure, it's 64.5 to 74.5. If I will share our chart in AMA questions,
Mm-hmm.
as you can see, it's been basically at the same level since we launched back like almost 2 months ago. And we
Gotcha.
aim to keep it that way until we transition to the revenue share model as we originally planned to.
Gotcha. And so, you want to speak a little bit more on that, on your revenue sharing model that you guys have in the works?
Sure. So as soon as the cap of emissions that we have set ourselves is met, meaning uh, this is some alpha for those of you that are here, we are going to be implementing a cap on the amount of stars that can exist in total, meaning we'll cap our token emissions at a certain point. Whenever this certain point is met, instead of providing rewards to everyone, we'll transition to a revenue share model where a percentage of our income is distributed to each star holder depending on the tier of star they have. Meaning, if you have a more expensive star, you will receive more rewards. So our smallest, let's say for the sake of this example, our smallest one is 1 token, and then the biggest one is 10. So when new revenue comes in, the person that has the one that costs 10 will earn 10 times more than the person that has one. is weighted in a way.
Hmm. Gotcha. Yeah, that
And
definitely is
this
very
income
interesting.
will come from both our development services and the different products we provide. Just as
Hmm.
an example, I'm not saying we'll ever get to this level, but imagine if um, all the Uniswap swap fees were distributed to the Uni token holders. Although that's very tricky to do due to regulations, blah blah blah. That's the main idea. We build different products, they generate a certain amount goes to the team, and then the other part goes to the investors.
Yeah, it's definitely a much more popular model that or is beginning to become more popular model with that, you know, revenue share and indirect revenue share. But you guys, it seems like you guys are trying to go about it in a more direct way. So it's very, very interesting. Um, what other revenue streams will you guys be having in the future as you continue to develop? Because currently it is only the one. Is that correct?
Yeah, currently we have our development services, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
But we're
So,
building our own like custom liquidity management system where you can like plug it into your project. Like even if it's already existing, you don't need to do anything. You just like configure it however you want, and you fund it, and then it keeps the price within the set range. We're also building a couple more projects where we'll have equity. I cannot disclose what they are for legal reasons.
mm-hmm,
And the idea is instead of being paid 10K to do a project, building our own, where at some point we wouldn't have to put in as much time as we would on new projects, and it'll be like a more hands-off, it'll be passive income for us as a
mm-hmm,
project. And then part of that passive income will go towards our early investors, the ones that allowed us to be where we are today. And then part of it will go towards paying the team their salaries.
mm-hmm. Very interesting. Yeah, that's I really appreciate that model of trying to generate these passive income streams and continuing to build on them. You know, establishing this one product once it's completed, once people can kind of run it plug and play, minimal effort for you guys, moving on to the next and so forth. Do you find that marketing these different services is going to be like kind of that problem uh in the road for you if you continue to develop, you know, five, six different revenue streams?
Um, no, because of if we were developing them ourselves, yes, but since we're working with other teams that are already more established, I don't think we'll have an issue at all.
Gotcha. So is it more of a referral system then?
No, not at all. We're building a product
Hmm.
with other teams, and we have a share of the
Gotcha.
equity of the project.
Gotcha. Fair enough. And then are you, I guess if that is the case, your team itself, would it be more focused on the marketing of your project or more focused on your development as a service?
It goes both ways. We need to market our passive income side of things,
Hmm.
and then we also need to market our development services. But fortunately, we've had we've not have had to market our development services. We've been literally booked out since launch.
Gotcha. Very interesting. I think that the development as a service is there's a huge opportunity right now, especially if you have, like you said, it's not an individual developer, which is one of the bigger risks. If you are a company that is, you know, going around developing, you have a reputation behind you. They have a little bit more faith that these, you know, devs that are coming in aren't putting anything malicious into the contract. Obviously, like still take your necessary precautions, but it is a at the very least you have some kind of reputation backing, you know, backing a dev, and people will know that they're going to
Yeah,
get
and
whatever needs to be done.
yeah, and we have our track records. If you want to see the
Mm-hmm.
quality of our work, you can, go to any of the projects we've developed.
Mm-hmm.
You can go to the audits we've had about our code, and you can ask, even if after you see the project you still have doubts, you can just go up to the team and ask them what they think about it. And I am confident any of the teams that have worked with us are happy with the quality of the products we've delivered.
Yeah, definitely. It makes sense. It makes sense. I think that the model is very, very interesting. Um, and like I said, I do think that this is a more similar model to where things are heading in general. At least in the DeFi space, with some, I think DeFi gives a lot of room to have revenue shares at a very, very mass scale, very, very simply. Um,
Yeah, I think real yield, as this is the trend now, is what's going to be like the next big thing.
mhm.
And some projects are calling real yield what they were not. It's not really real yield, but you know.
And you want to elaborate a little bit on what you mean by that?
Sure. So what I think real yield is value that's generated from the project itself without the need of new investors coming in. So, for
Hmm.
example, a AMM, a swap, a DEX has real yield through the swap fees, not through
Hmm.
their own token, and then new people buying in and it appreciates in value. There's some tax, whatever. That's not real yield. The real yield comes from the swap fees, from the service they provide.
Hmm. Yeah, that is a super, super uh, important distinction that I don't think a lot of people realized, at least not in the last run. And you look at it with any rebasing model, right? You have the issue where the rebases are just too high to make up for with any investment or any kind of um, business growth. You know, if you're delivering on a percent every day, that might not seem like a lot, but a percent a day, a business would have to grow significant. It would have to explode in order for that to be
Yeah.
covered with, with
Or new
anything.
people, or more people coming in.
Exactly,
More new
and there's
people
where the
coming in, and then
Ponzonomics
the
come in.
token appreciate. Exactly. I believe. I mean, we all know New Bull Run will have projects like this killing it because
Hmm.
it's the nature of the mania of the Bull Run. But I do believe we'll have higher quality products going around, and some smart teams will utilize whatever the trend is at the time, whether it is reflection tokens, whether it is rebase tokens, whether it is node projects, to get a jump start and
Hmm.
get in a good position, get a good enough public, and then branch out from there. I believe Sphere is like one of the clear players that has done that. They started as a rebase project and ever since has branched out to infinitely more sustainable model, and
Hmm.
one I do believe will be extremely successful in the future.
Yeah, I think that it was a good mechanism for certain projects to use as that kind of like the little like to attract the degens in the space. It definitely brought people in and got people to stick with them as they've kind of changed, and a lot of other projects have done something similar along those lines. So I 100% see where you're coming from. Um, Back to solar though. I know you mentioned that you guys were going to stop allowing more nodes to be created at a certain point. Do you guys have any specifics on when that certain point is, or how close you guys are to hitting it?
When we are going to implement the cap, or what the cap
Hmm.
is?
Both.
Uh, well, what the cap is, I don't want to disclose yet. And then when we're gonna do it is whenever we are launching the products that we're working on, because I do believe we're gonna have a lot of traction once we do.
Gotcha, gotcha. And what is this next project? Is it the LMS that you mentioned?
No, no, no. I cannot say. Like
Okay.
legally, I cannot say.
Gotcha, gotcha. Sorry, I misunderstood the order then. So the next
No, it's okay.
project
It's okay.
is in the works, just under wraps for the moment. Is there any
Correct.
timeline for it? Any rough general timeline, I guess I should ask.
Uh, well, I'd like it to be as soon as possible, but there's multiple teams working on it, and we
Hmm.
all rely on each other. And some things take longer,
Hmm.
and it is what it is. We're trying to have our side ready as soon as possible, and then we'll just wait for others. But in the meantime, we have more ideas to work on, so it's not like we're all gonna be idle.
Gotcha.
And
Is it
then,
is it
of
I
course,
guess
our
I'm sorry, go on.
go ahead. No, no, go ahead.
I was just going to ask, is it something that you're thinking of since you're not exactly sure? Is it something you're thinking of in the next month, maybe the next few months, or is it further out from that?
Um, Again, I cannot give an exact date because
Hmm.
I legit don't know, but I do believe it will be like within 1 to 2 months
Okay.
maximum,
Gotcha. Gotcha. Very, very cool. I'm sorry. What were
hopefully.
you getting on about some other of the projects that
Yeah, I
you
was
guys
just
are
gonna say,
developing?
And I'm also really excited about our LMS. The
Hmm.
developers handling it are doing an amazing job, and I'm like really excited to see it working. Because, for example, let's look at the lead project offering the service at the moment, which is Horde.
Hmm.
They offer their liquidity manager, but they require you to have a swap in your project. If you already have an existing token, you need to change the contracts to a V2 or update your contracts if you are under a proxy. Our main idea is to not require any of this. You
Hmm.
basically purchase a product. We go on a call. We discuss how to best configure it because we have like so many different things going on and like different sanity checks and ranges and stuff. And you fund it, and it's good to go. We create like an on-chain oracle that has like price moving, and you can define the granularity of it, so like how often it updates, and then whenever it's updated, how much weight the time has, and it's really cool. It's really cool. I'm really excited to have it ready. And we want it to be a plug and play solution where you don't have to make any major changes on your project. It doesn't take you 2 weeks to implement. It's like it takes you a day.
Yeah, I think that's definitely going to be very interesting. Do you guys have any? And are you allowed to talk about what different groups you guys are working with on some of these projects? Because I know that you plan on kind of partnering for a lot of these different products you guys are
Sure.
creating.
I guess the fact that we're working with Sphere is pretty much public now. So yeah, we are working with Sphere, and then other teams are also working with us.
Gotcha, very cool. Is that for the LMS, or is that
No,
for?
the LMS is our standalone product.
Got it.
The other ones are the ones I cannot talk about is the ones we're doing with them.
With Sphere.
Yes.
Gotcha. Very, very cool. That's exciting. That's very exciting. I know that they've been developing a lot of new products recently. So it definitely makes
Yes, they
sense
have
that they would need the developers to kind of help put things together.
for sure.
Yeah. So I guess with how busy you guys are, is most of the work that you guys are doing focused on your own products you're developing, similar to the project with Sphere, or is it mostly being outsourced to other projects paying for dev work?
It's about 50-50. Like for example, right now, we're developing Void. We just launched it
Hmm.
like a week ago. It went really well. The launch went as smoothly as planned, although with some delays due to some unforeseen circumstances. But the launch went amazingly well, and we're still working with them. We're developing their bonding system. We're working
Hmm.
on it, and then we're also working with another project that's hired us, and I'm in talks with another project that wants to hire us for another thing. And then on top of that, we're building, the main focus of one of our developers is this LMS that I mentioned,
Hmm.
and then we're also building the other products with the other teams. So
Yeah,
we do have a lot
that's
of things going on.
very, very cool. You guys have definitely have a lot of dev work to get into.
We really do.
No, I totally get it, but we appreciate you for coming on for
No,
today
for sure.
because that's awesome.
I'm
It's
very
awesome
happy
to
to
hear
be
about
here.
this. Um,
It's great having a break from the from coding.
gotcha. Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Um, kind of branching off from Southern. Do you guys have any other projects kind of planned out already? Whether or not you want to talk about what they are after the LMS, after Sphere, and I more mean partnered projects that you guys are releasing under your own name, um,
Mm,
that are in the works or
no.
that are thought up of.
Well, I would just say Sphere is keeping us busy for a long time.
Gotcha. Do you think most of the products in the near future will just be uh with Sphere, or do you think that when the LMS is developed, you guys will move on to your own?
Well, I'm sure the LMS will be a good thing to have under our belts, but I do, in the long term, I think it's best if we work with other people. I
Hmm.
mean, it's really hard to sustain like high development speed. It's really hard to do it within just one team. So
Hmm.
I'd love to collaborate with other teams as we're doing right now and, build cool stuff together because, you know, 10 people can get more done than five as long as they're
Yes.
organized, of course. So
Yes. So are you doing a lot more of the leading then, or more so development? And when I say leading, I more mean kind of because generally projects, from my understanding, I've never been a dev, but I have a couple friends that are Web 2 and Web 3 developers. Uh, from my understanding, when you are developing, it definitely helps to have someone kind of that understands what you're doing, but is orchestrating the operation.
Yeah, that's normally the role of a project manager. And
Gotcha.
no, I am not taking that role. I am very happy to be but a deb. I just do my thing, and it's something I miss with because with solar, I end up doing so many other things that are not developing, but I do still
Uh-huh.
love coding, and that's what I mostly do for them.
What's the biggest lure to you that like for coding? Like what is the biggest uh I guess the best thing that you love about it? I'm not 100% sure how to word that, but I think you get the point.
Yeah, what got me hooked into it, I've always been a very like min-maxing person. Like
Mhm.
I grew up playing games. I always wanted the most optimal strategy. I wanted to automate everything as much as I could. And then I learned that coding allows me to do just that in a consistent way.
Mhm.
So I don't have to grind the same thing for 16 hours a day. I could write a program that helps alleviate this. And that's where I got started with everything. Then I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna study coding. And I
Mhm.
studied coding. I have 2 degrees about it. And yeah, I think it's just fun bringing ideas to life. If I
Gotcha.
wanna, like for example, during the bull run, there was this huge like tomb fork, getting early gen pools farm strategy, and then you have to compound every 10 minutes manually, or you're falling behind because it's like it goes up so fast. And I I made a script
Mhm.
that allowed me to play any tomb fork launch as I plugged the contracts in because they are all the same. None of them have any originality, and they just coded the already existing ones. So I just
Mhm.
had to plug them in and let it run, and I made a decent sum of money off of that.
Gotcha. That's very interesting.
That's like one of the aspects that's so nice about coding. If I want to do something like this, I can.
Yes, I think that it gives you a tool that's extremely versatile and you can use for. I mean, it's definitely going to be continue to become uh more and more as far as one the amount that people are doing it and just two the number of people that can. But I think that it gives you those very
For
very
sure.
helpful tools. Yeah,
The way I
that's
say it, it's a
awesome.
tool to create tools.
Hmm. Yeah.
Oh, I almost forgot one of the things before I got into like DeFi stuff. I was doing NFTs with my friends, and we made this tool that would you give it the metadata, it will automatically analyze the entire collection, and it will create like rarity systems, and then we were able to snipe like the rarest NFTs before they revealed, before they minted out, and we
Hmm.
made a decent amount of money off of that as well.
Gotcha. Very interesting. What collections did you guys do that for?
This was back in like 2021 summer. We were doing like
Okay.
Polygon NFTs. I don't know. We
Gotcha.
did. I can't remember exactly ones we. Uh, I can't remember names. I'm terrible with them.
No worries, no worries. Gotcha. That is very cool. Very cool that you guys did that. And so you were able to snipe these NFTs before any rarity systems were released. Um
Yeah,
Gotcha. Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Um well, so kind of everything I guess from what I'm hearing developed because of your interest in gaming and your interest in min-maxing and developing tools to allow you to do that without the in-game time, correct?
yeah.
Gotcha. What games were these?
Man, I used to play a lot of Minecraft, and then I started making my own mods, and then I moved
Mhm.
on to like MMOs.
Mhm.
And then I would like create tools that would like give me because I don't like botting in itself.
Uh-huh.
I just want tools that allow me to optimize certain things. So for example, I had some piece of code that would like tell me the most optimal route to do at a certain time depending on the market prices and stuff like that. Play a lot of arcade, played a lot of BDO, played a lot of Terra. Sadly
Gotcha.
played a lot of League. But the
Gotcha.
coding didn't do anything for that. That was just a
Yeah,
waste of time.
yeah. Gotcha. Very cool. Very cool. So all the type of MMO, MMO genre games that have been released in the past years.
Yeah,
I like it. I like it. That's awesome to hear. And I
I've
guess
always
kind
been a
of
bit of a grinder.
like kind of branching from that. So you went from the whole gaming scene, got into NFTs a little bit later, and then got into DeFi. And what was the piece in DeFi that you felt like you could really take those skills into?
Um, well, from NFTs and stuff, I was like, okay, I'm making money. What do I do with it now?
Hmm.
And one of the answers was invest in more NFTs, but that sounded like a terrible idea because they kept just pumping and dumping. So I tried finding things where it wouldn't be as much as a pump and dump.
Hmm.
And then I got into DeFi and I found out it was 90% the same. So I was like a bit bummed out about that. So yeah, I just explored DeFi, learned tokenomics, learned the different terms, the way different things worked. I learned to read Solidity so I could spot a rug because at the time, during the whole bull run, there was a lot of like forks of stuff, and a lot of them were rugs. So you had to be very careful with the contracts. You had to look at the different functions, different
Hmm.
like whether they were owned by a wallet, where like stuff like that.
Yeah.
It definitely gave me an edge to be able to read the code.
Gotcha. Yeah, that is interesting. So my understanding of development is like close to zero. But I think I can pick up what you're putting down. Um, on any kind of technical level, I think I'm completely lost. Uh, but we do have real quick, if you're good with it, a longer question that I wanted to touch up on. Um, we got someone asking. So one of the most critical problems to solve when defining encryption schemes in decentralized environments is the handling of cryptographic keys, where in addition the calculations are performed and verified by peer multi-party computation. So to provide the solution, uh, what roles does collective authority feature play in the Solar Protocol network?
I'll be honest, that question is way too complicated to my level of understanding of English. But
uh,
if I understand correctly, you be we don't have a network or like any kind of blockchain and or like decentralized system.
mm-hmm,
I do understand how basic cryptography work and how cryptographic keys work and the different
mm-hmm.
types of ciphering and stuff, but it doesn't apply to our project at all.
Gotcha. So I think they're asking about uh, what role does the collective authority feature play in the Solar Protocol network?
We don't have a
But you
network,
guys don't
and
have a network. They might just mean your ecosystem. Would be my guess.
everything's handled by the team. We're not
Gotcha.
a decentralization focused project.
Gotcha.
I
Gotcha.
believe a qualified team can make better decisions than a public
Mm-hmm.
vote.
I would agree 100%. I think
For certain
people.
things, I understand the DAO,
Mm-hmm.
and like for other things, but if you are investing in a project, you want the leadership to know what they do. If they're relying on someone else's decisions, uh, I don't think that's gonna go anywhere. And we've seen it time and again with the DAOs, with like projects just end up being taken over by their largest stakeholder. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's a legit way to make money. You find DAOs where the backing of the token is higher than the current market cap and like the treasury, and you can basically buy the treasury for a lower amount than the treasury is and make money off of that. There was like a bunch of cases with the whole DAO craze where people made millions off of buying the different DAOs.
Yeah, it was. I think that you hit the nail on the head there. See I don't see a point to allowing. I mean, don't get me wrong. Community, I think, like especially with Cardinal House, we're in a little different of a situation here. But in general, I think that I would much rather Elon Musk run Tesla than have all the shareholders of Tesla run Tesla. Right? Like you want these people that are spending 10 to 16 hours a day working on their project to be making the decisions for the project or business, whatever you're talking about. It They have a much better grasp. That's the reason that they're in that position, right? They're in that position because they've proven that they know what they're doing at least better than the average person. Um, so that is an extremely important thing that
Yeah,
people in DeFi, I think, will become aware of as projects start allowing a little bit less. I think the one thing that is important to talk about is once you've already made your, the benefits that, for example, the benefits that holders will get of a token or the benefits, if you're planning on changing that, that's when you have to say like, hey, is this something people are interested in? would you guys support us changing it in this way? But overall business decisions definitely is a
For
I
sure.
it
We
definitely is
take into
better.
account the
Mhm.
community feedback, and anyone that's been in our community long enough knows that, a
Mhm.
lot of the things we have in place today has been feedback from the community. But we don't blindly take any feedback that's
Yeah,
thrown at us, even if the majority want it. We analyze it
100%.
as a team and we decide whether it's a good idea or not.
100%. I think
Especially
that
because you're buying into a project and you're buying into well, in this case, into a team that runs the project, and you believe in
mhm.
them and you believe in what they're doing. It's not like this is maybe it doesn't apply fully, but with the government of a country, that's not something you choose to live in that country. You were born there,
Mhm.
and then you should get a say on who rules over you.
Mhm.
But for a project you're buying in, you decided to buy in. It's not that I force you to buy into my project and then
Mhm.
you want to get a say on what we do. That's not the case.
Mhm. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Definitely makes sense. Um I guess how would you uh well, I think this question was actually answered. Um I guess how do you prioritize what's best for the protocol over the individual investor? Um Sometimes you might have trouble keeping uh, sustainable returns for the investors versus the team, depending on, especially at a time like now where you guys have, your team salary obviously for the team, but you also have that issue that you guys aren't making as much income currently because you're doing a lot of self projects, right? Um,
For sure. I think this is a prime example of a point where we've decided what's best for the protocol instead of the investors. But also, we took this decision with the investors in mind. Because if we go to revenue share now, it will be much more difficult for the current investors to reach ROI than
mhm,
if we weather the storm and keep going.
mhm. Yeah, for
So,
sure.
and yeah, we
Yeah.
try and then the salaries are nothing crazy. Like, let me check right now. I believe our monthly pay for the entire team, including moderators, marketing, developers, finances, it's $11,000 a month. It's nothing crazy.
Yeah, no, definitely not. Definitely not. That is extremely cheap, especially if anyone knows how much developers get paid on average. Um, yeah, it is not that. At least here in the US, I know most devs that work, web 2 are getting anywhere between like 8 plus. Really you don't see
Yeah,
a
I
lot
mean,
under
but
that.
when I was working at other projects, I was making that a month myself.
Mhm. Yeah, so you guys are definitely putting a lot of thought into limiting what you guys are getting paid, keeping it to where you guys are making enough income to support yourselves, but definitely putting a lot back into to
Sure.
support the people supporting you. So very, very, very important. I love it. Um Kind of moving back just a little bit. Do you guys have a set criteria for some of these projects that you're working with?
Um, I we haven't had the case where we've had to turn around someone that came to us for development
Hmm.
services, because it's always been people that are willing to get KYC'd. It's always people that are publicly doxxed. We've not had a random person come up to us and say, "Hey, here's 10K, make me this project and make me owner." We've not had the case, like for example, Void, who we are working with. Sure, maybe they don't have the most sustainable tokenomics, blah blah blah. It's a reflection token,
Hmm.
but they're legit. They're building on it. They work on it, and that's all I care about. As long as the person running it is not trying to rug it, or
Hmm.
being at least in our eyes is not trying to rug it. The
Hmm.
project might fail, but it wasn't due to someone stealing the money. It was just due to like poor planning or whatever.
Hmm. Yeah, it definitely helps when you guys have some control in the operations. If there was any kind of security issue, do you guys find that you would either turn that work down, or what do you think you guys would do for that if they were asking you to code something, not necessarily asking something malicious, right? But if let's say that you already didn't necessarily trust the people behind the project, do you guys think that that'd be something you take into account, or would it be more along because most people wouldn't, right? Most people would be like, okay, I'm a developer. I'll develop what they need. You're not going to code anything malicious, but you wouldn't necessarily look into their team. But do you guys do anything like that to kind of cover your basis so that you're never, blamed for something else happening?
I mean, we try and do our due diligence
Hmm.
in researching whoever we are working with.
Gotcha.
So I don't know. I would turn it if I get the hint that the project is
Hmm.
sketching anyway when they approach us,
Hmm.
I would turn them around.
Gotcha.
But that's never been the case.
Yeah. No, no, no. I definitely understand. I think it's probably the best way to mitigate a lot of that risk of developing for random individuals because even if you're not doing anything malicious, your team could get blamed for it if
Of
let's
course,
say
when
that
we have a
they're
reputation at stake, we need to
exactly
be careful who we support.
exactly especially as a business. Now they have someone to blame, right? As your
Yeah,
own
yeah, yeah.
protocol. Yeah, it's a two-way street definitely. The reputation can be extremely good or extremely bad, and those will stick around with you for sure. But I like the thought process that you guys have, and I'm very curious to see what you got in the works with Sphere and on beyond that. That's extremely exciting stuff.
Sure. I hope it will happen soon enough.
Yeah, awesome. And if anyone has any other questions, feel free, Zach, if you wouldn't mind, or if Kinsu, is that how you pronounce your Discord handle?
Yeah, you're one of the first people to get it right first try.
Okay, awesome. If you wouldn't mind throwing a Discord link in, I
Sure.
believe, yeah, in the
Also, I
AMA
thought there was
questions.
it was a curious question by Lettuce. It was what made you want to go vegan
Oh,
before we keep talking.
you saw that one earlier?
Yeah, I want
Yeah,
to address it.
yeah, go for it.
The main thing was animal cruelty and the impact it has on the climate change. That was the main drivers. I went vegetarian when I turned 18, and then after a year or two, I was like, well, the only thing I eat is cheese. I might as well go vegan, and that was it.
Dude, cheese is tough to leave, at least for myself.
Oh yeah, it is, man. I miss it so much.
Have you ever
But
cheated
every
since you went?
no, no,
Really? Okay.
never.
Interesting. That's kind of cool. That's very crazy though. I can't imagine not eating cheese. I don't. At least
I
myself.
couldn't
That.
imagine until I tried, you know? And to be fair, right now it's way easier to be a vegan than it was like 5 years ago.
Yes. For sure.
There's so many more alternatives. Almost everywhere you go now has an option, and hopefully more than one option. But it's way more common, and like there's way more variety, and especially like regarding cheese. Even I know this doesn't apply to DeFi or whatever, but
Hmm.
this new there is now like feta cheese and like parmesan that's actually
Mm,
decent. And
hmm.
it doesn't taste like processed fat. So that's great.
Yes, for sure, for sure. I love it. Yeah, and so if you guys are interested in or have any more questions, feel free to join their Discord. Again, I don't know if you got a chance to throw it in there. Yeah, you did. Perfect.
Sounds
Thanks, Zach.
good.
Um,
Thank you.
but yeah, so if you guys do have any other questions, feel free to go ask them. I'm sure that they're very willing to answer anything you got. But I'm sure we'll connect again because you guys have a very very interesting idea, and the way that you guys are going about it is definitely I think a solid business model and providing development as a service while developing your own products to benefit holders. So very very cool, very interesting. Thank you for coming on though. If there's anything else that you wanted to touch up on, uh, let me know because I don't want to miss anything if there's
No,
anything that we
we
missed.
touched we touched on everything I wanted to talk about. Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you for coming on and thanks for coming back today and making it work after, all the unfortunate sequence of events with not
It
knowing which
happens. It is what
Discord
it
this was in.
is. It's
Awesome.
okay. I'm glad like we can make it happen.
Yes, for sure, for sure. Well, have a wonderful day and I will catch all you guys later.
You too. Bye bye.